Howdy, my name is Timekeeper. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Timekeeper. Welcome back to another episode of Time to Produce with Timekeeper. That's what I'm going to call the series now because I'm all about clocks, as you can see in the background. Yeah, Time to Produce with Timekeeper, I guess. Hey, this video happened completely on accident. All the sounds I made in this video just kind of happened and I rolled with it. I made one sound and I just, put more variants of it in. Today, I'm going to teach you guys how to sound like Ray Volpe. Let's go. So here we are in glorious Ableton. And here's the project file. I used the buildup from Ascension by Ray Volpe. And brace yourselves for the sound of the Volpetron by Timekeeper. Let's go.
It's time to ascend. Let's fucking...
Okay, a whole lot going on here. I don't know where the fucking start. Let's start with the beginning bass here. So this bass I kind of just made randomly without the intention of making a Ray Volpe bass. So this bass here, I heard another ID with the same bass that this sound is from. And I tried to remake it. So 7 detuned, 7 voices as for detuned. It's not like terribly detuned. It's detuned enough to where it's audible, I guess. A little bit of white noise, add a little bit of crunch. High 12 filter, which LFO4 is modulating. We get some effects here. We have hyperdimension, tube distortion, and compressor. That's it. It's probably the most simplest sound you can ever make. Ever in Serum. But also, I didn't turn the random all the way down is because I want there to be a different variant each time the bass hits. So like, as you can hear, each time it hits, there's a different sound. And I kind of wanted that just so I didn't have to like keep creating patches, like tweak it a little bit. So I thought that was cool. All right, what's going on with this beginning bass here? I know this doesn't sound like Ray Volpe, but it's kind of heading towards that direction. So here in Serum here, I tried to copy the Ray Volpe Battle of the Bros bass, and I turned it into something really cool. I love when that happens. I love when I try to copy like somebody else's Serum patch, and I end up making like a completely different, really cool Serum patch like this. I love that happens, which is why I try to follow people's bass patches, because sometimes they end up sounding completely different, or I get an idea to use with those settings, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, let's show what's going on here. So immediately LFO1 is modulating the level. First, let's turn everything off here so I can really reverse engineer this. So with just the squeegee oscillator, it sounds like this. Sounds like a growl, sounds really terrible. So we got oscillator 2 here, which oscillator 1 is FMing to. Oscillator 1 is FMing, can't even speak. Oscillator 1 is FMing to oscillator 2, which we have SQR saw word. I call it word or word. Because that's what I used to call Microsoft Word, because it would just have WRD in the title, so I'll just call it Word. So, yeah, so we got sync knob also. Okay, we're slowly getting there. But the real magic here is this filter, because we need to get those Volpetron tones. So I had a theory a while ago how Ray makes his basses. He uses a lot of peak filters, a ton of peak filters to get the tone of his bass. So right when we turn that high pass or high peak filter on, yes, we're getting those Ray Volpe tones. Without, with, Okay, we're heading to the right direction. And I have a white noise on. It's really not doing anything. But I can kind of hear a difference when I turn it on and off, but yeah, it's not really making a difference. We have sync knob. I don't know if I said that already. If I did, I'm sorry, but we have sync knob, modulating. We also modulating the wavetable position. So this is kind of a technique that Company does. He has LFO1 as kind of his push-pull, like modulating like the level and filters and stuff like that. And this is kind of like the shape the sound to like move like the sync knob, the wavetable position, like combs, filter, a bunch of those other stuff. Let's get into effects here. So first off, we have hyperdimension, just a simple hyperdimension. It's not even modulated. It's just the same settings, but the mix is a little down. And next we have a simple tube distortion modulating all the way. Kind of gives it a little more crunch. Next we have a phaser. Not really doing much, but I guess it's adding more tones to it. Next we have an EQ, which adds more peaks to the sound and gives it more, I guess, the more signature Ray Volpe tone. It's what he used in Battle of the Bros too, the whole peak filter thing. So I found that pretty cool. And to clean it all up, because there's a lot of tail, I have a simple MG low 6 filter. As you can see, it gets rid of that tail, and then some OTT. So for post-processing, I have my personalized fat rack that I made. It's basically the fat base rack from Reaper. I just recreated it in Ableton. And it's just reverb. Without the reverb, it sounds very thin. Sounds really weird, but with reverb, it sounds really full and crazy. So now let's talk about this main bass here. What's going on here? Now, first off, this phase bass, I call this like the deep wubby heavy bass. Now, this bass is heavily inspired by Ray Volpe's track Ascension, which is actually what the build-up to this drop is this track Ascension. Those deep wubby like basses that sound like they're subs, but they're not. Ray actually did tell me how to make the Ascension bass. He explained it in his Discord server that he basically just used sine waves and peak filters and stuff like that. But I wanted to make it with my own twist, and it ended up working out. So there isn't much changes. It's basically the same preset as the last one, except just with minor tweaks. Like the sync filter is up a little bit. FM from B, I believe, is changed. It's pretty much just the same settings. Yeah, it's pretty much just the same settings and the same placements and stuff like that. But stuff are tweaked a little bit. I removed some LFOs because there's only 10 in this patch. I think I removed like the sync LFO and the noise is turned off. I believe this might be the first bass I ever made, I guess, because the noise filter isn't even set to the other other noise that I had. So this might have been the first bass I made in this project, but I don't know. All right, so I do have some samples on this. They're from Ray Volpe's Splice pack, his No Emotion Allowed pack. And just to kind of have as like helpers to make it sound like Ray a little more. So we got this sample first. Now, the way I make it sound different is I use this plugin called Unfiltered Audio Spec Ops. Now, in my opinion, this is probably the best plugin to use if you're manipulating samples. I love it. You guys should definitely go check it out. It's just look up Unfiltered Audio Spec Ops and get it for yourself, because this plugin is really good to like manipulate samples. Like you can copy the settings if you already have the plugin. It's the same settings that Virtual Riot used to make his We're Not Alone VIP. I definitely want Virtual Riot to go over like a video of this, because this is definitely really cool. Because without it, it sounds like the Sick Boy remix bass, which is what the sample is, but with Spec Ops on, it sounds like a completely different sample, and you can hardly tell that a sample is playing in like when the drop hits. You think it's all coming from the main bass, but there are samples here just as helpers. That's what these samples are. They're mainly just like helpers to make the bass sound more crazy, I guess. So this sample right here is Wonk. It sounds really cool. mainly because it has a little flow to it. And with Spec Ops turned on, it's basically the same settings but tweaked a little bit. Basically sounds like a low end screech that's kind of has like a little pop at the end, like a wah at the end. And then both of them together on their own, they sound like this. They sound like they don't work, but like when you put the entire project file together, sounds crazy. Next up, we have this little background screech. Now, I heard this in one of Ray Volpe's IDs in his Lost Lands 2023 set. And I was really inspired by that. I love that sort of like highly detuned background bass that he used in that ID. So I recreated it from scratch here, and it's basically kind of leaning towards a hard trap lead, but not really. It's basically a really detuned saw with 4 octaves up. You got some white noise chorus to kind of add crunch, because without it, not really making that much of a difference, but I can kind of hear a difference a little bit. For effects, it's very simple, just hyperdimension and distortion. It's the simplest like background elements you can make. And then I have a little buzz bass here, because just on its own, like if I were to mute the buzz bass, it sounds like it's missing low end. So I added a little low end buzz bass here. Now, I was tired of using the Virtual Riot buzz bass preset, because I've used that in a lot of stuff. So I just made one on my own. It's very simple. It's basically like distorted white noise with a little bit of detune and some distortion, diode 2 distortion and hyperdimension. There's not even a OTT on it. So it creates this like background buzz. So next we got these glitches here. So how I made these is actually a pretty funny story. So I recently just got Portal. I saw Eliminate use this plugin, and I was inspired to get it for myself and try it out and see how what cool bass manipulations tactics can do with Portal. And combining it with a vocoder, definitely a good combination, because like here's what just Portal. Here's what the original glitch sounds like. With Portal, kind of brings it down. I kind of mess with the pitch a little bit. And with the vocoder, kind of gives you that like grimy sort of like wow. And so I just made my own glitch with a glitch. Pretty crazy. So there's like a whole bunch of these. So this glitch is really cool because it kind of sounds a little watery. Like it sounds like it wants to be color based. I should resample that because that's actually a really good sound. So for the second part here, we got the... So this is probably the closest I've ever gotten to sounding like Ray Volpe. It's pretty much the same patch, but, you know, the LFO 1 is a little different. Some wavetable positions have been changed and stuff like that. I turned off some effects. I turned off the filter, and that's about all I turned off in here. It's pretty much just the same bass patch, but messed around a little bit. And that's what I kind of mentioned in before. A lot of these are the same bass patch, but just messed with a little bit. And they're like whole bunches of different new sounds you can make with one bass patch, which I think is really cool. And I highly encourage people to do that a little more. So for the second part, it's just like... so it's that bass, but I added like a little bit of a screechy high-end layer. It's basically the same sort of deal, but the sync knob has moved a little bit. Of course, everything else has moved in a little bit. Added more peak filters and stuff like that. More stuff to add background element. And for like the screech layer here, it's literally like the same preset as before, but sync knob, but it's up an octave. I was about to say the sync knob is up, but it's up an octave. Sometimes I'm confident about stuff, but I don't actually like feel like it's not actually what I'm confident about. So vocals, what do we have here? It's literally just me saying like,
It's time to ascend.
it's time to ascend. And so this vocal rack right here is really fucking cool. It's by Wasted. Look up Wasted Space Laces vocal on YouTube and you'll find a link to this. This is a really cool vocal rack. I've been using this a lot for like recording my own like pre-drop vocals. And I finally don't have to like resort to samples for like pre-drop vocals and stuff like that. I'm even making pre-drop vocals in a sample pack I'm working on with this rack. So that's pretty cool. So it's pretty much just me saying random stuff like,
It's time to ascend.
and then this one.
Let's fucking.
So I said let's fucking go, but for some reason it cut after fucking, so I just used it. And that formed this.
Let's fucking.
Now the drums here, the drums are actually pretty interesting. So I've used this technique before. So we got this fill here, which is just Ray Volpe sounds. Over here, so this is kind of what I wanted to talk about here. So we got the back kick, which is barely live sample. Then we have right here this this is a tear out snare that I layered with a very punchy excellent kick or excellent kick, I don't know. So this drum rack right here is called the Brittum drum rack. It's the same drum thing that Wooly used in his Upsound video. Unfortunately, I couldn't copy it exactly because Upsound decided to delete all their videos from YouTube, which Upsound, this is my message to you for doing that. Yeah, you just deleted a whole bunch of valuable information. But yeah, so pretty much this is just like the same drum rack he used to make the kick, snare, layers, drums. And for hi-hats here, just simple barely alive hi-hats with a utility on it to kind of boost the gain on it. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much how you sound like Ray Volpe. I think like what we learned today, the magic is in peak filters. He uses a lot of peak filters. You could kind of tell that with his basses. Like when he makes his basses, you could definitely tell like a peak filter was used. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and see you guys next time.